who was a whistleblower as well, who had intimate knowledge of one of the service providers and their relationship with Mr. Phahlane then, and that's what it was based on. And then the further investigation would have led to whatever it led to.
Was corruption part of the issues that you were investigating?
I think so. I just can't. Perhaps I should have. I can't remember. I don't want to say something that I.
I mean,
corruption. Yes. It was. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, how does his house then become a focal point of the investigation?
Because in the lifestyle, if you look at, so what he did was, he goes, okay, let's do a lifestyle on him. And so he'll see, look, there's this property. And then you go on Google Earth and you can see, and there's, oh, okay, that's a pretty massive house for this. And then off we went on that. And then when you compare the income that he was getting at the time to how much the house had been built, what the cars he had at the time, it was impossible to have been able to afford any of that. And that's where the red flag came up. And this was the head of police for South Africa at the time. So, yeah.
I find it very contradictory. You are actually saying to us that he was the head of South African Police, National Commissioner. Why would he not be able to afford a car?
No, at the time that the house was built, he was not.
What was he?
He was heading up the forensics lab.
What was his rank?
I don't know, but I think
Not a lieutenant general.
I don't know, but I just remember that he couldn't have afforded it.
Can I put to you that he was a lieutenant general?
All right.
Do you know how much they are paid?
No. I mean, we're talking a long time ago, so.
So what was wrong with General Phahlane building for himself a house?
Nothing's wrong with building a house. And you know what? Our investigation did lead somewhere.
No, I'm asking. You are part of that investigation.
Yes.
What is wrong? Was he the only human being in South Africa that was building that kind of a house?
No.
I see a lot of houses, marvelous houses in Johannesburg.
Mm.
Have you investigated all of those people?
No, but I think that if there's a red flag like that, what excuses the chief of police in a country just because he's the chief of police? He should be held accountable, and he shouldn't be protected because he is the head of the police.
I can't accept that. I find it hard to accept that you want to actually condemn the general simply because he's head of the police, that he should actually not be actually able to build a house of his dream, a dream house of his own. He's working, he's getting a salary. There are institutions out there which are ready to actually give him money to go and build a house because he has a stable income and is the head of the South African police. I mean, what
I don't believe
drama.
I don't believe he could have afforded that. But again,
And Paul was here and he told us that he owns a private jet.
Paul owns a private jet.
Is that true?
No. Are you saying that? Sorry, I interrupted you. I should have listened to it.
He said so.
Sorry?
He said so himself, telling us.
Paul said, he has a private plane.
Paul O'Sullivan. Does he not own a jet?
No.
But he told us that he was actually he was driving his own jet.
No, it's a private plane. I don't know if he still has it now, But when I was working for him, it was like a 4-seater plane that you fly. There's no, I don't know
I
where.
was going to ask whether the lifestyle audit has actually been carried out against him to find out exactly whether he can afford that kind of flight.
He doesn't have a jet. Oh, actually, I don't know because I don't, but at the time, I can't imagine.
Okay, move on.
Sorry.
The question about the photographs that were taken at General Phahlane's place has actually been answered. You said Paul O'Sullivan actually took those photographs.
As I recall,
Yeah.
correct. Yes.
Okay. When those two investigators, IPID investigators, that is Mahlangu and Binang, came to your places, I don't know where you met them, they were traveling in an unmarked police car, which could only accommodate 2 people.
I don't know what the car was.
No, I'm not
if it was
interested
marked
in
or not.
what car, but it could only accommodate 2 people. That's what you said.
Yes.
And then because of that, Paul actually said, no, leave that car, let's use my car so that all of us can fit in.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
And
as far as I remember, that is how I remember it.
Okay. So then you drove off to Phahlane's place.
Yes, we went into the estate and went down to the manager's office. You go.
All 4 of you.
Yes, in the car.
Okay. So who was leading the team at that particular time? Because it could not have been those 2 IPID chaps because they knew nobody.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So between you and Paul, one of you must have been leading that team.
So when we got there, we walked in and look, I mean, I can't remember exactly what happened,
No,
but
it must have been one of you. Remember that the whole idea of actually, roping you into that trip to Phahlane's place was because you 2 are white. It is only one of you who could actually be able to persuade those people to actually cooperate in the investigation. So that is why I'm asking, who was leading that team between yourself and Paul?
Okay. It wasn't as sort of. It was very simply.
Somebody must have led discussion when you're talking out to the branches and the Eustace and all of that crowd. Somebody must have been leading discussion.
Yeah, I think Mr. O'Sullivan would probably have spoken the most, but the IPID officers it was made clear. And the thing is, if you do listen to the recordings or see the transcript, you will see that it's because he had all the information. He knew all the information.
So on that day, the lead investigator was Paul.
I wouldn't say that. No, he's been investigating matters forever. So it's not like anyone that doesn't have sort of experience in an investigation. So it just comes naturally. You sit down and you.
Ms. Trent.
Yes.
You were requested by the IPID 2 chaps to accompany them simply because they realized that the color of their skin is actually going to make it impossible for them to communicate with those people convincingly. So they roped you in. They phoned you. They phoned one of you.
Okay.
And then you agreed to accompany them. You even provided transport to them. So the entire operation was was a Paul Sullivan or Sullivan's operation, backed up by Miss Sarah Jane Trent and the two guys. My question is, when you got there, somebody must have led, the discussion between the two of you, because those two already had actually, made their disadvantage known to you. Okay. I just want to put to you that you were actually leading that investigation. And secondly, Paul, when he got there, he took photographs. Not Mahlangu, not Binang, but Paul took photographs. Where are those photographs? What was he taking photograph for?
As far as I
What
can
did he do
recall,
with them?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Was General Phahlane aware that you were coming to his place?
No,
So you trespassed?
no,
Did you have any permission to enter and do what you did there? Did you have his permission?
not Phahlane's.
If you did not have his permission, then you trespassed.
No, I don't think.
You were not police officers, were you?
No, we were.
Went there and you took photographs without his permission.
We were assisting the IPID investigators and went
I don't
in
care
with them.
whether you were.
We
assisting.
didn't trespass.
No, I don't care. You were not police officers.
No, I never made out to be such.
You
ever.
entered the premises of somebody without his permission. And to make matters worse, you took photographs of his place.
Mm.
To do what with the photographs? Okay. So I want to put it to you that you were leading that investigation. All right. When you came back from there, Lieutenant General, is that Mabula, opened a case of fraud and impersonating IPID against you. And you actually say in your statement that this investigation, namely the case that had actually been opened by this general, was effectively a counter investigation into the corruption allegation against Phahlane. That is you saying that, and only concerned itself with the manner in which IPID was conducting its investigation. Now here is the crunch. It was clear to me, and that is you saying that, that Phahlane was abusing his authority as acting commissioner of police to protect himself from investigations and reduce the credibility of IPID witnesses by requiring them to make additional, possibly conflicting affidavits.
Yes.
Why this? You invaded his privacy. Without his authority, you took photographs. Why should he not have opened a case against you?
We were not trespassing. There
What
was
did you do?
we were.
Did you have permission to go there?
No, it was. This was.
Then it's
Okay.
trespass. That's private property. That one, isn't it?
Yes, but I disagree that I was trespassing.
What were you doing?
I accompanied IPID on their investigation into Phahlane, and one of the parts of that investigation was the home. I did not trespass.
Are you aware of something called Phahlane Task Team?
Yeah, is that what they refer the IPID team?
What does it do?
So what I know is in the beginning, the late Mantle Mahlangu, sorry.
Okay, who are involved there? Who constitute that Phahlane task? Is Paul O'Sullivan and who else?
Constitute the Phahlane task team.
Yeah.
No, not Paul O'Sullivan. It was Mantle Mahlangu, at some time Cedric Nkabinde, Timani Binang, Mansara Pesu, and there was a couple of others, but
Robert McBride.
I don't know if he was on the Phahlane task team, but obviously I don't know what his role was or how they had their meetings or.
Mr. Nkabinde was seated where you are sitting right now, and he told us the composition of the Phahlane task team.
Okay.
Paul O'Sullivan, Robert McBride, and the crowd that you have actually named right now.
Yeah, Cedric.
I wonder why you are running away from mentioning the name of Paul O'Sullivan.
No, Cedric Nkabinde must stop his lies. He's sorry,
Nkabinde is a long associate of Paul O'Sullivan.
Eh?
They used to work together.
Who?
Nkabinde and Robert McBride at IPID.
Yes, I know. I met.
Then you cannot say that. You cannot say that Nkabinde.
No, I'm saying
because he was one of the
trusted when he was sitting here.
Was one of the trusted, officers in IPID. Was given to investigate very, very, difficult and sensitive cases. Okay. The BRI. You were very central in that because you invited people to come to the BRI. Who was there?
The Angelique Sarayo, who is a journalist. She wrote a book called Kretcher. Then it was Cedric Nkabinde, Mantle Mahlangu, Robert McBride, Candace Coetzee, Anthony Fitzhenry, Shadrach Sabia, Paul O'Sullivan,
General Spear.
Sorry, yes.
Okay.
Myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it a BRI, a book launch, or a meeting?
It was a BRI. Okay, so I went and got the meat, and Angelique came with her books, and Paul had a document called Joining the Dots, and we had a BRI, and it was about 2 hours, and there was no discussion on taking Arab Spring, overthrowing the government or anything like that, unless going through the document Joining the Dots was, but that had been released, a media release or whatever.
You actually classified that gathering as top secret.
Oh, did I?
Yes.
Okay.
The invites that you sent out to people actually was saying top secret.
Okay.
So much so that when this thing actually was leaked, there was a great deal of panic.
Oh.
Don't you remember that?
I remember the panic, yes.
The panic, yes. Why panic over a BRI?
Yeah.
Why panic? Why did you panic?
No, I didn't panic. There was this huge thing about what had happened at this BRI, which hadn't happened. That I wasn't saying I panicked. It seemed like there'd been some or other information, or I don't know what the story was there.
You actually have confirmed that Mr. Nkabinde was there.
Yes.
Mr. Nkabinde, seated where you sitting right now, told us that in fact it was not a bribe. And neither was it a book launch, but it was a top secret meeting to actually concoct a plot to ensure that General Phahlane does not become, is not confirmed as the National Commissioner. That is what Nkabinde said. So that is why there was panic when that gathering and the issues that actually were discussed there had been leaked. And then, so what is your take on that? Would you still maintain that it was a prior? Obviously, when you met there for some time, you would obviously have something to eat. But the purpose of the gathering was to actually was not just for a bribe, it was a meeting. Do you have anything to say?
I never saw it as a meeting.
Why did you actually classify it a top secret?
That was, I can't remember.
Where was
remember.
that?
It was in
Where was it discussed? I
that,
would imagine that when you were
Paul
doing...
would have told me to send what to send. And
was it
to whom to send it to. So I probably sent it to everyone, but it wasn't me, Sarah Jane Trent, inviting. Am I answering your question?
Could it have been Paul who actually said that, hey, look here, Sarah, because I don't want issues that would be discussed there to leak. Put just right on the invite, top secret.
It's something he would do, to say top secret, because it's just what he would do. But I don't know. I just wrote it and sent it as split.
Yeah. Can I put it to you?
Yes.
You know that IPID is captured by Paul O'Sullivan, Sarah Jane Trent, Robert McBride, and a few others.
No.
How often do you interact with Spear?
I met
General Spear.
I met him twice at that braai, and once I went to, when he was at the city of Johannesburg, I just went to get a document or something of his, or what I was...
Only general invited.
Yeah, that was the people that I named are the only people that were there.
Does he frequent your offices?
No.
Who actually invited? Who put him on the list of invitees?
To the braai.
Sorry?
To the braai. Who put
General
Spear onto the list for the braai?
Who compiled the...
No, that Mr. O'Sullivan.
Okay.
I didn't get a +1.
Okay. Listen to what do you know Advocate Mashuha?
Yes.
Okay. Listen to what he has to say. And I'm quoting him. He was seated over there yesterday.
Yeah.
He said, the objective facts set out in this affidavit, and in particular the evidence emanating from O'Sullivan and Trent. You are Trent, isn't it? Clearly demonstrate that IPID, to the contrary, was captured by O'Sullivan and Trent. What do you have to say?
I think it is a ridiculous thing to say when capturing IPID or an institution. It needs a lot more than a couple of illegally downloaded WhatsApps to show capturing. The criminal justice system has been captured for a hell of a long time. It's not just now that this is happening. It's been a long time, and it's very, very broken. And sorry, I'm not going to ramble.
One of my colleagues actually asked you about the Section 205 subpoenas.
Mm.
And listen to what Advocate Mashuha had to say about that.
Mm.
The evidence clearly demonstrates that Trent and O'Sullivan even went to the extent of preparing Section 205 subpoenas and statements, which were presented as if they were compiled by IPID officials.
When you say presented, presented to whom?
Subpoenas and statements which were presented wherever, could be court or wherever, as if they were compiled by IPID. I think the operative word here is as if.
Okay, I think it would be issued to whom. It would be one thing if
in other words, you prepared those statements as if they were actually prepared by IPID. You prepared these documents for IPID to actually prove that IPID actually is in the palm of your hands.
No, I disagree. I think it would, yeah, no.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you.